Hello and welcome to Math World. Let's talk about multiplying polynomials. So polynomials are just those exponent terms like maybe x plus 5 and maybe 2x minus 3. So those are polynomials, and let's go ahead and multiply them. What's going to happen if we multiply these two? Well, there's a way that we're going to need to set this up. Because what ultimately is going to happen is that each one of these terms has to get multiplied by the other. We're going to have to multiply this x by everything over here and the 5 by everything over here. Alright, so one way you can set it up is the box method. You can set it up with a box saying 5x and 5 and 2x and negative 3, right? And if you set it up like this, we'll then go ahead and multiply each part of it. So what is 2x times x? Well, 2 times the 1 stays 2, and x times x makes x squared. What is 2x times 5? Well, that's 10x. What is negative 3 times x? Well, that's negative 3x. And lastly, what is negative 3 times 5? Negative 15. So you see, I went through each of the boxes and I filled it in by multiplying by whatever lined up. Now once I have these four terms, see the four terms I have in here inside the box? Well, I'm going to combine the like terms and write a new polynomial. Let's see, any x squareds over here? Nope, no other x squared, so 2x squared stays itself. Alright, what about this x? 10x and negative 3x, well, they're like terms. I can combine those. They make a positive 7x. And then lastly, this negative 15, it has nothing to combine with, so it just comes on to the end there. And I have a new polynomial, 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. There we go, I just multiplied the polynomial. Now if you don't like the box method, another very famous method is called FOIL. You may have heard of it before, you may have seen some math posters, but basically what FOIL stands for is first, outers, inners, and lasts. So that means it's kind of going to work like a distributive property. We're going to first multiply the first terms together in the polynomials. That means this x here gets multiplied by the 2x. X times 2x makes 2x squared. Then I will do the outers. Outers means the outer terms of each of these polynomials. That would be the x is the outer term here, and the negative 3 is the outer term out here. So let's do x times negative 3. That's going to give me negative 3x. Then I'll do the inners. That means the inner terms multiplied by each other. That's this positive 5 and the 2x. So what's 5 times 2x? Well, that's 10x. And lastly, I'll multiply the last. I need to multiply the last term of each of the polynomials. That's the 5 here, that's last, and the negative 3, that's last. And so when I multiply 5 times negative 3, I get negative 15. And when I combine all these terms, again, I'm going to get the same answer I got down here. The 2x squared is the only square. The minus 3x and the 10x make positive 7x, and the negative 15 hangs on the end. So you see, you get the same answer either way. Some people like the box method. It's a little bit more graphically organizer. Nice to look at. Some people just remember FOIL and they kind of just do this in their head, or they draw the arrows. I'm a big fan of FOIL because I just know to multiply x by 2x and I write it down. When I multiply my 5 times my 2x, I get 10x. I write it down. And then when I get my x times 3, I get negative 3x. I write that down, combine them, and the last two always make just an integer or a number without a variable, because there's never a variable in the end here usually, if the polynomial is being written correctly. And that's it. That's how you multiply polynomials. I'm going to go ahead and try something a little new this time. I'm going to give you a challenge problem, and I want to see you solve it in the comments. Okay? Let's see if you can solve this polynomial. 5x minus 3 multiplied, and actually a little hint here is you don't have to put the multiply symbol. A lot of times they'll just put the parentheses next to each other. That means multiplication. Negative 2x plus 1. Let's see if you can figure that out. Yep, I threw a negative in the front there to challenge you. Put the answer in the comments and we'll see what you all get. And I'll see you in class. Now for a word from our sponsor, Paper Cut Games. This week's game, Monopoly. So most of you have heard of Monopoly. It's super old and super popular. It's probably the best-selling game of all time, but it doesn't make it the best game. It's just been around forever. So let's check out Monopoly. So Monopoly's been around for so long that there are tons of versions of it, tons of expansions. There's actually a list over here of 1,700 different types of Monopoly that you can actually have different themes, like the 70s or Albuquerque, New Mexico, or Atlantic City, or anything you can think of. Batman. So anything you can think of, there's a Monopoly version of it. My Monopoly version that I play with is Star Wars. Yes, I have a Star Wars Monopoly, and it's a classic old one. It's a little bit hard to find, but it's pretty cool. So in this game, if you don't know Monopoly, you pick a little person, it doesn't matter, and you start at one side of the board, and each turn you're going to roll some dice and move your little guy along. When you land on a space, you can have the option of buying it. Okay, so you're going to have money in this game, and you will then, everyone starts with a certain amount of money, and you pay money to the bank, and you get a property card. Okay, so I get this property that I landed on, and then it's mine. Now, if someone else rolls the dice, and they land on my property, then they owe me rent. They have to take their money, and they pay me. Yay, I get rent, I get money. And so the goal of the game is to kind of work your way around the board, buying more property pieces and collecting rent from people. And if whoever runs out of money is out of the game. And there's lots of little different things that happen in the game, like you can go to jail and have to go to jail for a while. Or there's different chance cards that say like you win a beauty contest and you win some money. There's lots of house rules, there's all kinds of rules. My favorite way to play is to make sure that you're talking to each other, and this is a social game, okay? People don't like Monopoly because it takes too long and they think it's boring. But if you make it a social game and you really try to wheel and deal and try to get extra pieces, it makes it a little bit more fun. So when I play Monopoly, I'm always trying to make offers and deals. I'll say, I'll give you $200 and 2 free stays at my property if you give me your property. Or I'll give you this house over here and I'll give you my get out of free jail card. So I try to make lots of deals and make it a little bit more fun and interesting, and I always try to see what I can get away with to get a Monopoly. So whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins. It can be a long game. One hint, don't play with free parking. Don't do it where you get free parking and you get to collect the money in the front. That makes the game last an extra 2 hours. Get rid of that rule and you'll probably have a 2-hour game. Well, check out Monopoly if you haven't played it already. I'm Mr. Bigsby, and I approve this message.